Okay, let's go over this practice test paper section. Problem 1, reading here. You have a 1.8 liter container of gas. The volume of the container is increased to 3.5 liters, and the pressure inside the container is now 2.1 atmospheres, ATM, atmospheres. What was the pressure at the start? So we're going to figure out our knowns and unknowns first. And notice that there's a container of gas and there's like a before part and then a change and an after part. The before part is time 1 and the after is time 2. And all of these problems will be like that. So look for numbers and units. You have a 1.8 liter container. Even on the test, you're going to be able to look up here for help. Liters are volume. So that is a volume. And that's probably volume 1. Let's make sure. The volume of the container is increased to 3.5 liters. Okay, so yeah, there's where the change occurred. So this is volume 1, and here's liter again, and this is our new volume, volume 2. Let's write them down here. 1.8 liters for volume 1, 3.5 liters for volume 2. So that gas expanded and got bigger. And the pressure inside the container is now 2.1 atmosphere. That's connected with the 3.5 liters. So this is the new pressure after it expanded. What was the pressure at the start? That's the one we don't know. Okay, now we have our unknowns and our knowns identified. Let's plug them into the formula here. So when you see V1, P1, that means V1 times P1 equals V2 times P2. So in place of V1, I'm going to put in the number 1.8 liters times, in place of P1, since I don't know that one, I'm going to keep my letter. That I know it's going to be a pressure. Equals, and then instead of V2, I'm going to put in the number for V2, and instead of P2, I'm going to put in the number for P2. So this times this equals this times this. Now this becomes an algebra problem. We're going to solve for P. So since P has a number multiplied to it, we want to move that number over here. To do that, we have to do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. So we're going to divide both sides by 1.8. In algebra, if you do something to one side of the equal sign, you have to do the same thing to the other. So the one that has the variable next to it, that's the number you're going to divide both sides by. That makes these cancel, and now we're left with P1 alone on this side equals, and now this means 3.5 times 2.1 divided by 1.8. So I'm going to do that on my calculator. 3.5 times 2.1 divided by 1.8 equals, and now we don't care how you round it, but I'm just going to keep two numbers. So 4.08. If I want to keep this digit, I look at the next. If it's 5 or above, I'm going to go up. So I'm going to say 4.1. Now let's think about the liters, or the units. There's a few ways to know what it is. If I look at P, look up here, the unit for P is atmosphere. So that's the unit I'm going to put here. Another way to tell is on the math, the liters above and below cancel, and we're left with atmospheres. So that's the math way, but you can always look up here. Just don't leave it without a unit or you will lose a point. Let's do the next one. Remember, there's going to be a before and after, so be thinking about that. A 2.1 liter balloon of gas has a pressure of 1.6 atmosphere. So that's the same time. If it is brought up to a mountain, the top of a mountain, the pressure changes to 0.67 atmospheres. What is the volume of the balloon at the top? So I have a liter, that's volume. So I'm going to put, see if I can zoom out a little, maybe not. I'm going to put 2.1 liters for my first volume. And that says that balloon has a pressure of 1.6 atmospheres. So those are both at time 1. Now there's a change that occurs. It's brought up a mountain. The pressure changes to 0.67 atmospheres. So that's not the volume, that's the pressure. What is the volume? So that's what we don't know. Now we plug in those numbers to the formula. So we see V1, 2.1 liters, times P1, 1.6 atmospheres. There's an equal sign between now. Now instead of V2, I'm going to use the letters, times 0.67 atmospheres for P2. Now it's algebra. We're going to divide both sides to isolate V2. We want to get that by itself. So I'm going to divide this side by the number that is multiplied with it, 0.67. But if I do it to that side, I have to do it to the other. That makes these cancel out. Now V2 is left alone, which is what we wanted. V2 equals what? We're going to multiply the top and divide by the bottom. 2.1 times 1.6 divide by 0.67 equals, and the answer 5.01. Now that's a volume, so you can do it the math way. You see ATM above, below, they cancel. That leaves you with that liter. Or you can just look for volume up here, or remember it, that volume is liters. Make sure you have a unit, an answer, and show some work, at least this part. If you need more practice, you should go back to assignment U2.6 and do problems 1 to 5. Thanks.